Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today I want to have a conversation about Anthropic's relationship with the US government and what this means for you, and why I am going to do my best to construct this video in a way where even if you want to hit X because of a certain reason, you will listen to the entire thing. I may fail at this, I will try. And I will also go over my political biases as I go through this video, because that is definitely going to come up at some point, and it's important to address these things head on, honestly, for the future of the content that you're going to watch from me. So first things first, I wanted to dig into a few things here. So a few months ago, Anthropic was considered a supply chain risk. Being a supply chain risk means that you cannot do business with other companies that do business with the government. So let's say that I am a government contractor. Let's say I do data recovery. For whatever reason, if the Pentagon wanted to send a drive to me for recovery, I mean, not that that's going to happen, but let's say they did. If that happened and I used Claude Code on my website, I would not be able to be a government contractor because I'm using Claude Code. They put together a situation where I would be forced to choose whether I want to keep my government contracts and use somebody else or use Claude Code. Now, the reason they did this is because there was a disagreement between the Department of War and Anthropic over how to use their models. Anthropic said, here, you can use our stuff. It's just we're not going to give it to you in a way where you can use it for fully autonomous weapons or for domestic mass surveillance. We're not going to give it to you with no safeguards against that. And I thought that that was a very, very reasonable and very lukewarm take. Keep in mind what they're saying there. They're not saying that you can't use our stuff for semi-autonomous weapons. You can totally use it for semi-autonomous weapons. They're not saying that you can't use it for fully autonomous weapons in the future. They were not saying that we believe that morally fully autonomous weapons are wrong. They're simply saying that our clanker is not yet capable of that. And when I see for myself how much Opus or even Fable were able to do when I was able to use it, and how much it gets right and how much it gets wrong, I wouldn't trust this stuff to empty BlackBerry's litter box, much less with actual tasks of war, but that's another topic altogether. Now, I found this to be petty, and I'm going to explain why. The whole concept of being a supply chain risk, let's say the majority of my money or all of my funding came from countries where the US is an adversary, and there's reason to believe that I'm spying on you, or that I'm a double agent. That's what that's for. It's not for, we had a minor contractual disagreement on how to use the software. And I saw that as a pattern of something I see in this administration, where it's the whole, like, you punch me, I'm going to punch you twice as hard. But I don't see it in that way. I kind of see it as, you didn't give me everything that I wanted, therefore I am going to have a tantrum on the playground. And I thought that that was very, very counterproductive, especially since this administration talks about AI dominance and want to win the AI race and everything else. Now, recently what they did was, they said that if you are a foreign national, you're not going to be able to use the newest models. And this is something that I thought was really a mess for a number of reasons. The US government, citing national security authorities, has issued an export control directive to suspend all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5. These are the new models by any foreign national, whether inside or outside the United States, including foreign national Anthropic employees. To be clear, I have no sympathy for Anthropic here. Anthropic is a company that has said that their models are so dangerous they can't even release them yet as part of their PR campaign up before their IPO. They've also said that they think that the United States government should have the ability, any government should be able to ban AIs that they deem dangerous. They're doing that so that they can continue to virtue signal that they're the company that really cares about safety and security. So if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you want to say that your model is so dangerous we can't even release it yet, while simultaneously saying that we care so much about safety that the government should be able to ban models, don't be surprised when that backfires on you, especially when you're saying this at the same time that you don't have a great relationship with the government. So to be clear, no love lost for Anthropic here. But that doesn't mean that I think that this is a good thing just because I don't have sympathy for Anthropic for a number of reasons. Number one, as I've said in my other videos, I've tried a bunch of these different models, and I've noticed that Opus 4.8, and especially Fable, is by far one of the most capable for a number of different tasks. So if we're really trying to focus on getting ahead of every other country, if we are building AI data centers everywhere to the opposition of the people that live in those areas, if we're saying that we don't even care if the air is clean in those areas, you can run fucking gas turbines as much as you want, you can destroy the air and the water and everything else, just to try and be 1% ahead of China. But then we're going to kneecap one of the primary leaders in the United States that's moving towards this over petty bullshit. Pick a lane. You can't really do something like this without, when most of the AI researchers that work for these companies are foreign born for almost every company. But more importantly, it's really difficult for me to believe that this is happening in a bubble. Like that Grok and OpenAI and Gemini and everybody else is not getting this type of scrutiny, whereas Anthropic is. And like, this is my opinion. My opinion is this some petty shit over what happened in February, and I think that Anthropic is getting looked at differently than every other company, and I think that there are a number of different examples of the administration treating people differently based on whether or not they do what the administration wants. I've noticed this type of like preschoolish behavior, and it's a pattern that I don't like. Now, why is this a concern to me? How do you tell whether or not somebody is a foreign national in order to use it? This shit. Identity verification on Claude. Being responsible with powerful technology starts with knowing who is using it. Identity verification helps us prevent abuse, enforce our usage policies, and blah, blah, blah. So a valid government-issued photo ID, a phone with or a computer with a camera. So you're just going to take a picture of yourself with your ID in hand. It's going to get sent off to Persona, which is a company that's funded by the Peter Thiel, who also made Palantir. I don't like that. A lot of you in my audience hate age verification. You hate the idea of having to show your papers to use things on the internet. When Google and Lycos came out, you didn't have to use your ID to be able to get access to them. There's a number of different things that you don't have to show your ID to get access to, but now you have to show your ID to be able to use Discord or Facebook or fucking like Spotify. It's nuts, and you're right to push back against it. But I think you also have to notice that even if you despise Anthropic as a company, that this type of shit is going to then speedrun companies like Anthropic, shoving all this age verification companies that are funded by the people that fund Palantir, sucking up your data in order to be in compliance with this. And I don't even necessarily blame Anthropic if they go all the way through with this. I blame our government, and I blame the pettiness involved in our government while doing this. Now, when I talked about Anthropic in the last video, and I talked about the Trump administration's policies back and forth in the last two videos, there were many people that talked and used acronyms like TDS or Trump Derangement Syndrome and things like that. So I thought it would be worthwhile to just be honest about my political biases when I'm going over these issues in the channel and where I stand. So for many people, I would see TDS show up, or, oh my God, he can never say something. Like, he always has to say something about Trump in the video. I just found that to be really interesting. So I'm just going to show you some of the videos that I've done over the years. This video over here is New York legislators voted in their own $32,000 pay raise. You know the party that's in power there, and you see what I thought. Next, in Missouri, when there was a right to repair bill being promoted at the same time that my nonprofit started funding it, there was this thing, who's really behind the right to repair legislation, and it's funded by George Soros of the Open Society Foundation. Just to be clear, I do not have George Soros money. I wish I had some George Soros money. I would take that money and I would put it into all sorts of shit that he fucking hates. To be clear, I've cashed checks from John fucking Deere before. They have a program where employees can donate to nonprofits and they will match. I have cashed John Deere checks to lobby against John Deere. I don't give a fuck who's giving the money. I will take it and do what I want, but I wish I had George Soros money. I don't have any George Soros money. I've talked about the prime minister in Malaysia. I have no idea what party this man is even from. I have no clue about the politics in Malaysia. I just know that banning public DNS sounded fucking stupid, so I went over that. I've gone over my aggravation with my local city council, mostly Democrat, how they're playing games and I've had enough. And we actually staged a 2 or 3 hour walk-in the middle of a work session because I felt like we were being dicked around. In the EU, there was this one commissioner that said that they thought that you could sniff encrypted communications like a dog at the airport. This is one of the fucking stupidest politicians or bureaucrats I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what party she's from. I don't care. I think it's very stupid. This is a video that I did on Joe Biden's administration destroying right to repair in the most corrupt way possible after one of the chief assistant legal counsel at NHTSA said that complying with right to repair would make things less safe. This was my mayor in New York City when he said that I needed to fire people if they did not get a COVID vaccine. You could see I was not a fan of Mr. de Blasio there. This is Mayor de Blasio, another Democrat who was bragging about destroying working bikes. So instead of selling them into a state where they're not illegal, instead of actually giving them to people who may be able to make good use of them, it's just, we're going to destroy them just to show the citizens, like, fuck you. I don't know what party she is. I don't know if she's Republican or Libertarian, I forget. But this woman over here laughed at everybody who showed up to this right to repair hearing. And a farmer who wanted right to repair actually ran against her. He was a Republican, Tom Brandt, and took her job. I thought, this is great. So we dunked on her. This is a Republican in Alaska who tanked right to repair. We kind of threw him under a bus here. This video went over Nebraska farmers getting fucked, and it was mostly Republicans who voted against right to repair in this particular instance. My channel's been up for 14 years, and for the most part, I have bashed in a bipartisan fashion almost every administration. And sometimes I'm talking about politicians or bureaucrats who were appointed by I don't even know the party that they're from because I've never even been to that country. My bias is I point out things that I think that are bullshit. And I'm going to try to build a bridge here. I understand if you have people, I understand where some of this comes from, because I see this in my comments sometimes where people will really defend people in the current administration, not like they're a politician that I voted for, but I'm going to hold them to a standard. I'll often see the back and forth be like, they feel like they're being insulted personally. Like when I say something about this administration, people in my comments will act like I am insulting their mother. And I'll read the comment and I'll just be very, very shocked at how sensitive the person in the comment was and how emotionally affected they were by me saying anything about the current administration. I'm going to try to build a bridge here. I can understand how it is annoying when people who are to your political left will make up things about you and denigrate you. And I understand how you feel like the current administration is on your side. And they don't hate you and they're on your side. So like, I'm going to try to defend them when they do something wrong. I can kind of get where that comes from. Like there are a lot of people on Reddit that don't like one thing that I said. So instead of engaging with the thing that I said, they make up something that I never said to try and make it seem like I am this evil bastard, psycho, right-wing crazy person. And they'll do these little weird pot shots where they'll just say some crazy shit that's not true that'll get 500 upvotes and then delete the post the moment that I prove that they were just making it up. Like this happens all the time. Like this guy says this. No, I actually have a bunch of proof of the exact opposite being true. Happens here too. And like this has happened to me a number of different times where somebody will make something up about me that is absolutely 120% not true. And then they delete the comment the moment that they get called out for it. I think that people that get really fucking offended anytime I criticize something that the Trump administration has done, they look at it like Trump's sticking up for me. He's not like one of these people that not only hates me for who I am, but also makes me out to be something that I'm not to other people just to try and get other people to pile on and hate me. So I have to defend him because I'm all in on him. And what I would say to that is it's very doable to despise the people who do the cowardly, lame, pathetic, passive-aggressive bullshit that I pointed out in this post, while simultaneously maintaining your own identity. I'm not a Trump voter. I don't think that he's a good leader. I don't think he takes accountability and responsibility for everything. And there's just too many times that he has said something where I actually go to do independent research and try and verify it to figure out what he's talking about. And it's just like not even like a little bit not true, but just crazily not true to the point where I just don't trust him. That is my political bias. However, I have been saying shit about politicians on this channel for 14 fucking years. Those are only a couple of the examples I was able to bring up because I'm late for a meeting and I don't have the time to go through it. But I'm sure if you go through the 4,000 or 5,000 videos I have in this channel from 2012 to the present, there's got to be at least 300 or 400 of them where I am just taking an individual politician or a bureaucrat that they elected and shredding them. And it's because I just don't like bullshit. What I would ask of all of you is if you don't want to live in a world where you need to show your ID and your passport and prove that you're a fucking citizen so that you could use a search engine someday, that you push back against this and that you do not make excuses for it. The amount of people that were making excuses in the comments in my past video and acting and reacting emotionally using acronyms like TDS when in the last 14 years of my channel has literally just been shredding whoever the fuck does something stupid. Get like, does it matter which administration is fucking doing it? It disappointed me because if we are fighting over this, if you're thinking like, I don't like this person on Reddit that says nasty shit about me from this party, so I'm automatically going to defend everything my party does because it's an obligation, then we are going to live in a world where you have a flock camera shoved up your ass. We're going to live in a world where logging into your computer requires that you show your passport and your ID. And I say fuck that world, regardless of which party is pushing for it. If you've met me in person at any sort of event or you know me personally, you know that I can figure out a way to talk with and get along with virtually anybody, regardless of who they voted for. I'm not the person who's going to shit on you for your beliefs, but I'm also not going to coddle any particular administration, any particular politician, any particular person they hire because of one side or the other if I think that they've done something stupid. And if you want to watch a channel that is a safe space for your particular elected official, you're on the wrong channel. I don't do that here. I never will. And if I start doing that, like for the love of God, fucking unsubscribe. The thing is, if you allow those types of people to get to you, if you allow them to change the way you think, if you allow them to change what policies you defend that you otherwise wouldn't change, you're allowing the people that hate you control who you are. And that's just not something I would ever allow myself. For me, two things are true at once. A, yes, that person is a cowardly piece of shit that instead of engage with me on the thing that he disagrees with me on, he has to pretend that my position is way more psycho and then use that as ammunition to try and get a bunch of other people to pile on, which is annoying. And simultaneously, the politician that person hates is also somebody that I massively disagree with and think is a bad leader. I am never going to allow people that dislike me for who I am to dictate my personal beliefs, who I vote for, who I defend, or anything like that. I'm just going to ask that you sit on that for a moment because this channel will never become a place where it is a safe space for any particular politician any particular person in their administration, any particular policy in their administration, regardless of my personal views. I can't be the guy that's covering corruption in like Malaysia or the EU and then not covering stupid shit that my own administration does. I'm going to always do that. If you want a channel that is a safe space from your particular politician of choice being criticized, or when I think their administration has done something that is petty or stupid, this is the wrong channel. I've been doing this for 14 years and I'm going to continue to do this probably 14 years into the future. Sometimes you may agree with me, sometimes you may not agree with me, but what I'm saying, I can tell you this, it comes from the heart. It doesn't come because any one particular party is paying me. It doesn't come from having a preference, and it sure as fuck doesn't come from a sponsor. I'm not Ben Shapiro. Like, I'm not here to tell you that I love Donald Trump so that I can sell more fucking ExpressVPN ads. Like, that's not who I am. That's not who I'll ever be. Yeah. Just going to leave the video at that. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.